Man, oh man, oh man, it's a good day. It's a good day. Good morning, greetings. It is Nothing Else Matters. It is 10 o'clock here in the East Coast. It is Sunday, June 4. Man, can you believe we're in June 4? I'm so grateful to God to have you all with us. I see you logging on from Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. You're coming on a little slow this morning. Everything's moving a little slow this morning. I don't know where you guys, it's a little gray here in Atlanta, but it's a beautiful day. It is a gift to be in the land of the living. It is a gift to have life, and it is a gift to share for my family. Well, I'll tell you what, it's a gift for me, to me, and I guess to Connie, I would assume to Connie as well, to be able to share this with our family. And then, of course, for our family to be able to share this with you is a gift upon gifts. It's kind of like the new custard spot that we found here in Atlanta. So, you got to tell us all about it. I'm not telling you about it. The line's already long enough. Anyway. It's like giving out Larry David shortcut. I'm not doing it. Anyway, but this is a great day. It's a special day. And if you're a long-timer on NEM, just thank you for being part of this journey. You know the ups and downs. You know the pushing and the birthing, if you will, that we've gone through over this 145th week that we're on. It's just kind of amazing to think that that's where we are, 145 weeks, but we're pushing close to 150, which of course means shortly after that we're pushing close to 3 years, which, my God, I didn't know if this thing would go a couple of months, let alone 3 years, and some of you have been on from the beginning. Some of you have been live from the beginning. Some of you have been on replay from the beginning, so whether you're a live or a replay viewer, thank you, thank you, thank you. And some of you are brand new. I mean, we hear from people, surprisingly, we hear from people, it's like, hey, I just found you. And this is changing my life. So it's good. So old friends and new, welcome today. Also to our supporters, thank you. Just thank you for your support of us, of our family. This is our ministry. This is what we do. If this is helping you, I thank you for helping us. If this is helping you, if this is giving articulation to your deepest knowing about God, then I thank you for your support of us. And if you say, I've been watching for a while, I'm not sure about supporting, I'll tell you, you are in good company with those who choose to support. If you said, you know what, and I think we even heard from somebody, Connie said the first time this past week, somebody we never heard from say, hey, I'm getting a lot out of this. So thank you to those who are supporting, who have been supporting, who do support. And thank you in advance for all of you that say, yeah, I know it's weird. Listen, it's weird over the internet because you're like, well, you're not a church and you're not this. We looked at, should we get Patreon things or a cup of coffee things where people can do, and we don't want to do that. We don't want to have tiers of support. Some say, I'll give $1. Some say, I'll give $100. It's not like you get free t-shirts or autographs. Just support, just participate. And all support, large or small, makes a difference to us. Connie and I were talking about it yesterday, literally day to day, hour to hour, as God provides. And it takes a lot. It takes a lot for someone to love and believe in us enough to support it. That's not everybody, right? Then it takes for those people to do that, to have the extra couple bucks to throw in, and we're getting support from overseas, which is such a blessing. Whatever. When I say bucks, convert it to whatever denomination or whatever currency you are. And to have somebody that loves us enough and believes in us to say, yeah, support, to have somebody who has that provision, the resources, is a thing. But then thirdly, to make a decision, I'm going to use these resources, abundant or scant as they may be, and I'm going to actually do it. That is not something we take lightly. So thank you and bless you all. Lord, thank you for today, for this time together. Speak through me, think through me. I decrease that you might increase, not my mind, not my will, not my ability. I thank you that no weapon formed against this time shall prosper. I declare ears are anointed, hearts are good ground. Lord, minister to those that are hearing beyond what I say. God, it's not what I say is not the key. It's what they're hearing, what you're revealing. And I thank you that you reveal yourself not only in word, but in deed, for health and for peace and for light and for encouragement. Minister even apart from that which is coming forth from the notes and the message. Spirit, soul, body, I declare peace. I thank you for it. We give you praise for it in Jesus' name. And all that agree with that say amen. Amen. Okay, well, let's do it today. Let me get my microphone screwed in right there. And we're just going to pick up with where we left off. No, we're not going to pick up where we left off last week. I'm going to give you this, and you can catch this in your notes. For a title today, yes, we are on part 12. It's amazing. What is the stream title? What is the stream title? Yeah, why true religion is enough. That's where we're working towards. So why true religion is enough on the top end. We're gonna end on that point. So we've been hanging out a lot in Galatians. We're not going to turn to the scripture today. We've gone over that enough, and I'm continuing that thought for the sake of time. But I want to give you an A, B, and C here real quick. So take this down, and this is where we're going to start. I was in. We got a break. Someone we know, a dear precious person, said, hey, I have a cabin, and if you guys want to stay in it, if you'll help me just cover the cleaning fee. I said, my gosh, we looked it up, and they let us pick out a cabin, and we went, and man, it was like for the ultimate blessing. I can't even tell you the ultimate blessing, but was able to get the kids away and Connie away for 3 nights, and man, what a just absolute favor. It's what money couldn't buy, favor could do. So that was special. Anyway, so I was laying there, I guess on the second morning or the third morning. I guess we went on a Monday and a Tuesday, and it went second morning. And I was telling Connie, we were laying there and just sleeping in and resting. And you hear the birds and the bears and the wildcats and everything screaming and howling. I said, we are having. This is point A. We are having our incarnational experience. We are having. What do you mean incarnational experience? Life. That's what life is, right? Life is an incarnation of spirit becoming tangible, right? We think that Jesus we think of Jesus as the first incarnation of God, but that's not really true. Creation is the first incarnation of God, right? The Word became tangible. God became tangible. We have it in our Hebrew record of Scripture as God saying, "Let there be," and there was. But literally, what it is the mind, source, order, the sans cosmic, the mind, source, order that we call God, that exists apart from the cosmos, became tangible in creation. That's an incarnation of God. Jesus, according to our faith tradition, is an incarnation of God in the sense of in human form. In many ways, we are also incarnations of God, incarnations of the divine, because we are spirit that has become material, where it can be touched, where it can be held, right? Jesus, I was reading a translation the other day, which I like this, a commentary. Somebody said, it's probably wrong to say Jesus became human, or that God became human and we called him Jesus. They said it's probably better to say that God assumed human form or took upon the form of a human. And that's a little nuance, a little better way to see it. But you and I right now, it is Sunday morning, 10:08, just turned 10:09 where I am. This is my incarnational experience. This is your incarnational experience. You in your life. I'll be 50 in just, 7 or 8 weeks here. And I, by God's grace, will have had 50 years of my incarnational experience. My short time upon this earth will have reached the 50-year point. We are having it right now. And as I lay in the bed next to Connie, and you all know, if any of you have been blessed to lay on a pillow in the morning light, side by side with your stinky breathed loved one, bestie, and to share the gift of the morning. And it occurred to me, this is it. We are having our incarnational experience, and we must not lose sight of that. We must not. Today, I don't know what you're eating today. I don't know where you're working today. I don't know what you're doing today. I don't know what your plans are. I know it's late, and I know you're lonely, and I know your plans don't include me. But I'm saying, whatever it is, today you are having your incarnational experience. Looking back over your life, say, wow, this has been my experience as an incarnation of God. And you cannot lose sight of that. You cannot shake that. You're having it now. In your notes, we can wish to change it, right? We can wish to change it. We can wish that it were different, right? But truly, our incarnational experience is what it is. Your incarnational experience, your incarnational experience may have included divorce. It may have included bankruptcy. It may have included illness. It's certainly included, over a long enough timeline, the loss of a loved one, as will everybody else in your incarnational experience incur in their timeline the loss of you. But we are here, and it is what it is. And most of us, right, catch this idea, most of us at any given time are those who suffer, right? We are those who suffer. We are at any given time finding ourselves among the company of those who suffer. We suffer loss. We suffer setback. We suffer discomfort. We suffer interruption. We suffer betrayal. Whatever it is, that's part of the incarnational experience. And there, within this incarnational experience, the large group of us is those who suffer. The small, thankfully small group of us are the suffering. Those for whom suffering is a constant subtext in their incarnational experience. And we are those who suffer, the suffering. We are existing in this together, but still the incarnational experience, I was going to say, the incarnational experience for those who suffer is a gift, but I suspect that the suffering, I would not presume to know, that they may themselves consider, even in the middle of being the suffering, that there is still a value to life. And I know many of those who I would say are the suffering, who often bring more joy to life than people that walk around every day not in that same plight. So here we are. This is your incarnational experience. You are living it now. It is passing. While you're laughing, it's passing away, right? We are in it. And the goal is to be present in your notes. So, we are having an incarnational experience. So, well, how do you know the difference between those who suffer and the suffering? I'll tell you how. The difference is the question: would you repeat your incarnational experience? And I'm going to tell you what. I have suffered. I have been those who suffer in my life. I've suffered loss. I've suffered illness. I've suffered betrayal. I've suffered family hurt. I've suffered pain. I've suffered marital difficulty. I've suffered shame and embarrassment and struggle. I've gone through all of that. But if you ask me, would you go, if you could live it the exact same way again, would you live it? Heck yes, I would. I mean, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Now, I suspect there may be some among the suffering that have said, would you go back and do it the exact same way? The suffering would say, no, I'm going to go on to that next place. We all suffer, but I don't want you to confuse the fact that we all suffer with you being the suffering, right? I mean, and even the suffering have a scale to it, right? The guy with no shoes, the guy with no feet, right? I mean, there's a scale to it. And that's why among the suffering, sometimes you'll find the most generous people in the world, because they have realized that even being among the suffering, there's a generosity and a blessedness to, and a largeness and a joy to the incarnational experience, which is something that transcends, my capacity to understand. But most of us at any given time are the suffering, but here's B, keeping this idea in mind, right? Keeping this reality that you're having your incarnational experience in the forefront of your thinking, in the forefront of your mind, that is called living. You're not living just because you're having an incarnational experience, just because you're having your life. This is your life. This is your incarnational experience. Today is yesterday, tomorrow, God willing, it is your incarnational experience. That's not living. But when you carry on with that at the forefront of your thinking, okay, today I'm having my incarnational experience, and Connie and I decided right there in that room that we are going to live. Yeah, but we got this problem. It doesn't matter. You say, well, if I didn't have this problem, then I would make it my incarnational experience. It's your incarnational experience with this problem. Yeah, but if we weren't facing all these challenges and all this stuff going on, it's your incarnational experience even with those challenges and with that stuff going on. So what we decided to do was, man, how are we going to enjoy, find joy, celebrate joy, laugh, live, go, see, do, be present, not letting the pressures of life, the things we suffer, right, as we are all those who suffer, not letting that make us retreat away from, right, way back away from, well, I'm in my incarnational experience, but it's not full. Why? We decide, well, it's tough, and how are we going to pay? And we're never going to get out, and things are crashing, and should we carry on? Somebody say, well, man, I can barely hear you. I know. So even in the middle of that, I've decided that I'm going to be present. Why? Because losing my focus of what's happening by the things that are going on is robbing me, not of my incarnational experience, but of truly living within it. Today is isn't it wild that we only get one June 4th and one June 4th, 2023 to share. And in my incarnational experience, I'm sharing it with you, and your incarnational experience is with me. And you're going to look back when you get to that next place. Man, what did I do on my June 4th, 2023 during my incarnational experience? Well, I spent one of the hours at NEM with my NEM family, and we sat around and we talked, and we focused our minds on higher things. Throughout the week we get but for 1 hour a week I sit and I just put my mind on higher things, and I try to get around something that's going to provoke me to see it from a higher view. And that's what you did. But what else are you going to do? Are you going to be joy? You say, well, I'm going to go out and we're going to go out to eat. Man, you ought to be the joyous, most going out to eat is smiling, is glad to see everybody. I mean, everybody I greet, I say, how are you? How's it going? Are you having a drama-free day? Has it been peaceful today? And I'm telling you, the tougher the nut is to crack, the more dedicated I am to cracking it. Connie, she does the shopping for the Instacart. She goes out and she says, man, Mike, I try to go out and I just try to win them over and I try to show them love. She said, but there's a couple of people that are they're just not gonna be moved. And we were driving by, and I said to a guy outside, I said, hey man, how you doing? He said, I'm doing fine. What do you want? I was like, oh boy. She goes, that's one of my guys that I tell you about that works over at store number 21896. That's one of the ones. I was like, my gosh. Well, yesterday I was at there bagging groceries and I started talking to him about how his day. I said, man, how have people been treating you? I said, well, have they been nice to you or not? He said, man, sometimes they're nice, sometimes they're not. I said, well, how are you doing? That's all that man. Man, by the time it was out, he was like, all right, brother, I'll see you next time. I said, yeah, man, I'll see you next time. And Connor was like, I can't believe that just happened. I said, I can't believe that just happened. What? But I am determined that where I just want to be with my children, to grab my son and my daughter and to hug them. And I think sometimes I hug them like, all right, dude, just back off. But I love you. I love you. And I want to share with you, and I want to watch movies with you, and I want to talk to you, and I want to debate your ignorant opinions on music and I know on entertainment. Why? Because I'm having my incarnational experience. Connie and I are just finishing series. We just finished 2 series. Ted Lasso is done, and Barry is done, and it's just. But we got May, so we got things to do. Why? I'm having my incarnational experience. I got my dog. I love my dog. My dog asked me the other day. He said, Dad, and I said, what? He said, look, I know you don't like to talk about this, and it's a depressing thing, but, let's just assume. He said, I know I could live, he said, Kenobi said, look, I know I could live, 105 years, maybe. There are beagles that live that long, 105. I could live to 105, but realistically, what are we talking about? Really, we're talking about what, 80, mid-80s? That's my life expectancy. I said, yeah. I said, I don't want to talk. He said, I know you don't want to talk about this, but Dad, sometimes you got to face reality. He said, I just got a question. He said, let's just for kicks and giggles, let's assume I just lived to the average age of 84, 85. So yeah, he said, would you get another dog? Would you get another beagle? I said, well, see that hesitation? I knew it, that hesitation. I haven't represented my kind good. He says, you don't understand. I said, no, just give me a second. No. He said, when you hesitated, I knew I haven't been a good representation of Beagle. He said, don't you know a dog's whole life mission is to be such an awesome dog that all you can think about is having another dog. That's the whole mission. I was like, I didn't know that. He said, yeah. He said, hopefully I do my job so good that when I'm gone, you don't only want 1, you want 2, you want 3. And there will be no dog pound in the world with any dogs left in it, because each dog, I knew I hadn't done. I'm not a good boy. You are good. I'm not a good boy. Norman, I'm just no dang good. You are good. No, I'm not. and then Kenobi was like, can I just stare at you until you talk to me? and then, my ears will come up again. Yeah, you can stare. Why? Because he's having his incarnational experience, and his job is to make sure that everybody that encounters him says, my gosh, I want a dog just like that. And he says, I failed. You've hesitated. I failed. What's my point? My point is that we got to go into our incarnational experience like Kenobi. We got to live on full blast, right? Well, it was my mom's song. She said, look, if you have a choice between sitting it out and dancing, man, get out there and dance and dance like a lane. What do they used to call it? There's 2 different types of dances, the slime and the seizure. I don't care if you're slimer or a seizure. I don't care, but you got to dance. Why? Because this is our incarnational experience. Right now we are in it. I'm sorry for yelling. Okay. C. So A, we are having an incarnational experience. B, keeping this in the forefront of your thinking is living. Now here it is. We might end right here. Don't put it past me. Some say, no. Living. This is C. Living with an eye to see. With an eye and a heart to feel and to act. living with an eye to see, having sight that makes you feel, and a feeling that makes you act toward, you're acting compassionately toward those who suffer when they suffer. And an eye to see, to feel, to act compassionately towards those who suffer when they suffer, and towards the truly suffering at all times. So we live in our incarnational experience, and as we go through our incarnational experience, purposing to be the most beagly beagles we could ever be, man, I just had a thing, sorry. As we go through life, purposing to be the most beagly beagles we could ever be, I know it was, Kenobi misheard the song. Steve Miller was playing in the house the other day while we were cooking, and Kenobi was walking around going, "Fly like a beagle to the sea, fly like a beagle." I said, "I don't think that's right." I was going to correct him. Why? I mean, what has he got, 84 years? Max. 120 years, 110 years. So we're going to be the beaglest beagles we could be. That's living. But going through life, living, being the beaglest beagle you can be, and if while you're living, cognizant of your incarnational experience, you are also seeing, feeling, and acting towards those who suffer when they suffer, and towards those who are the suffering at all times. If I can realize I'm having an incarnational experience and keep at the forefront of my thinking that I'm having an incarnational experience, that's living. But while I'm living, if I have an eye to see and a heart to feel and a will to act compassionately towards those who suffer and towards the suffering, now that's called true religion. Right? True religion. Why? Because I'm loving myself, which is incarnational experience in the forefront of everything, truly living, and I'm loving my neighbor as myself. What? I'm sympathetic towards their incarnational experience. And I can see those who suffer when they suffer. And I feel those who suffer when they suffer. And I act compassionately towards those who suffer when they suffer. And I can see the suffering and feel the suffering and act compassionately toward the suffering at all times. That I'm never so caught up in my beagly beagle experience that I lose sight of those who suffer when they suffer. I lose sight of the suffering. When I maintain that sight, that feeling, and that compassionate action, while I am living, while I am in my incarnational experience, I am now living, and I am living in true religion. And everything else, every other aspect of religion, of organized religion, of structured religion, of doctrinal religion, of tribal religion, right, of sectarian religion, every other aspect is either pushing us toward that true religion or is a concept that stands in the way of it. Now, let's go through this quickly today. Today, we left off last week with this idea that our faith, the follower of Jesus faith, and we could talk about historical Jesus, mystical Jesus, biblical Jesus, historical Christ, biblical Christ, mythical Christ. We could talk about a lot of that kind of stuff, as we have here. But our faith is in the belief that, we said this, something good, and I had something good, I think of Brother Roberts, something good is going to happen to you. I want to have in your notes, capital S something, capital G something. Something good is at work in the whole. So in the whole of the cosmos, in the whole of all time and space and matter, that something good is at work within it. That's our faith. When you think of the growth language of Jesus, saying, look, the emerging not yet world comes forth, that the not yet world presses down on the right now world, and it finds its way into the right now world as a seed. First the blade, then the ear, then the full corn in the ear, or as leaven that works its way through. Your and I's faith, we come from a kind of I don't think this is even a shame to say. We come from, I was going to call it an errant tradition, but we come from, like all traditions, partially sighted, and there's nothing wrong with that. But in our partial sight, we thought, let's just hang out and wait until the Messiah comes and sets things in order. And we're just going to stay in this place of continual deterioration until the Messiah comes and sets things in order. And in fact, I think that's not true religion. I think true religion is that the not yet is working in the right now, that instead of waiting for God to come and set things in order to bring the not yet into the right now, the non-suffering, the non-violence, the non-war, the non-lack, instead of waiting that to come, you and I should be agents and conduits of that in the right now. To me, that is true religion. But we've said, Mike, if we could, on the notes here, we've said that all inspired religion right, carries with it a shape, a structure, a system, brought to us by movers and movements, and we know these are righteous and religious movers and movements, and that takes place in time, but all of this draws its source from, its inspiration from, right? We're calling it here inspired religion. Where does the inspiration come from? It comes from a source, which we call God. A stream. It comes from a source, a stream. It comes from what appears to be motion, which is not really motion. It appears to be movement. Momentum. I apologize. Let me do this. This would be better. It comes from motion, what we consider motion because we think it's changing. It's really not. And momentum. And somebody say, what is momentum? What do you mean momentum? When momentum is not motion, it's motion with force. It's motion with building force. I want you to think of, throughout time, all inspired religion has taken different shapes, different structures, created different systems, brought about by various movements, movers that carried forth and birthed various movements, right? That which seems to be the truth is not really the truth. It's merely the product or the produce or the fruit of that which is subterranean, that which is beneath the human experience, the universal platform, the universal intuitive knowing upon which the human experience is based. And these movers and movements are really a byproduct of motion. And as that motion goes, it's momentum, which means we're not right now, and almost no place in the earth right now, do we sacrifice animals to appease the gods. In almost no place on the earth right now do we sacrifice humans to appease the gods. Now, many of us still sacrifice our dignity, still sacrifice our autonomy, still sacrifice the dignity of others in order to appease the gods. But human blood sacrifice, animal blood sacrifice passed away. Somebody say, yeah, how is it that across almost every religion, not all, across almost every religion, they no longer shed blood? Because we're not only in structures of movement and movers, we are in fact in seeing structures that are a product of a seemingly building momentum, which is what? We're building on top of. I mean, the circle, right? Whatever the idea of the circle was here, it doesn't just circle around, it gets bigger, right, as it goes. So we're building a momentum. Now, you try to hang on to that inner tube behind that boat doing that type. I mean, you got the a friend of yours came in here with a cat, right? So that's the idea. So what I'm talking about is we have throughout time, religions have had different shapes, different structures, different systems. We've had different movers, different movements, right? But they all were inspired by, and so up here on the top end, you get inspired religion. But down here, this is so important, this is the source of true religion, right? True religion. So inspired religion is the above surface structure by which we try to answer the deep universal questions. We have individual structures. We have Christian, Protestant, Catholic. I read a thing from a guy the other day. He said throughout his tradition, he says on his growth experience, he's a Roman Catholic priest, and he said I've become decidedly less Roman and decidedly more Catholic over time. You know, which Catholic just simply means, the lowercase c just simply means universal, the whole, right? Because we get individualized structures, us, them structures. We're Sunni, we're Shia, we're Confucian, we have all these different ideas, and we are in competition with the other. But those competition, those competitive structures, those complex structures are merely, I don't want to say derivatives, they're produce from the building momentum of God awareness through time. So inspired religion, taking its inspiration from true religion, I went off the road there, from true religion, and you and I are, in Nothing Else Matters, in the Omega View, what we're trying to do here is we're trying to see past, through, beneath, behind the structures, the systems, the movements, and the movers to get down to the source, stream, motion, and momentum upon which all of those things throughout time have been built. My God, I hope you're catching what I'm saying. Thanks, Mike. So, here we go. A deception in our collective, these are going to come in your notes, they're going to come fast. It's like I'm sitting down groceries. Beep, beep, here they come. A deception in our collective righteous and religious progress occurs. So we think we're making, we're part of movements. We're with movers, right? We're part of it. And a deception in our collective righteous, it's not just us or our group that's moving. It's the world. It's all things because God is at work. We believe that God is at work everywhere, not just through our group. As a matter of fact, if you only believe God is aware through your group, you fundamentally don't believe God is at work at all, right? A deception in our collective righteous religious progress occurs, in your notes, when the joining of right sides masks itself as right work. When the joining of right sides, I'm on the right side. I'm in the right party. I'm in the right group, right? That masks itself as right work. So when you join a side, right? You join the conservative or the Republican, or the conservative or the liberal or whatever, the progressive or, the libertarian. Or when you join the right side, joining the right side, I'm part of the right group. That masks itself as right work or right expression of true religion. And this joining of right sides, in your notes, often presents itself as a useful diversion, a useful distraction, a useful preoccupation. What? I'm on the right side. I vote for the right things. I vote for the right people. I share the right posts. I follow the right influencers. I go to the correct church. My service is 20 minutes because that's what Jesus would do. My service is 3 hours long because Jesus would expect people to stay there all day and he would provide lunch. Whatever we perceive as the right side, it's a useful diversion, distraction, preoccupation for the passing of our seemingly vain lives. When you're not aware that you're having an incarnational experience, and when you're not cognizant and present in that, and you're actually living, and when you don't understand that true religion within that experience is simply and nothing more the sight, feeling, and action towards those who suffer when they suffer and towards those who are the suffering and all, when you think there's something, then you get caught up in, well, I'm on the right side. And being on the right side and being passionate about right side and going hard for the Democrats, or going hard for the Republicans, or going hard against Chick-fil-A. But, well, I guess we're for Chick-fil-A. We're against Chick-fil-A because they're not gay enough, and now we're against Chick-fil-A because they're too gay. I mean, my God, last week I was saying, leave Chick-fil-A alone. Man, they're selling chicken sandwiches. Don't bring politics into it. This week I'm like, you better not touch that chicken. It's time to eat more cow, right? Because Chick-fil-A is corrupted by the woke mob. I mean, if you don't understand, if you're of a small faith, right? If you're Mikey, if I can, if your concept of God is tied to a shape, a structure, a system, a movement, a mover, and it is not pointed towards an aim towards a source, a stream, emotion, that is, if you believe that the only place green is in your group, right? This is the only green in my shape, in my structure. Other people's systems, they don't have the green. They got the devil. If that's your faith, then it's a useful preoccupation to say, so I just better get on my side. But rather, true religion is this, to believe that I am seeing the green and that it's the green that is in all, and I try to stay more in time and rhythm with the growing awareness and leavening of the green than I do in fighting the other side. So it can, if you don't live that way, if that's not your ultimate faith, thanks, buddy. If that's not your ultimate faith, then it's a useful distraction to be on the right side. But this idea in your notes is ultimately earthly and small. Why? I'm on the right side. I was Chick-fil-A. I was Team Chick-fil-A last June, and now I'm Team Freddy's, right, or whatever it is. I'm Team. Why? Did the chicken go down? Is the quality bad? The fries? Something you don't like Chick-fil-A sauce? All of a sudden, it has nothing to do with that. It's just that they're letting the gay loose, and I can't have that. And they're letting the coloreds in, and that's not good. I mean that's what happened. Is there something wrong with having representation for multiple. Well, no, it's nothing wrong with that. It's just that they don't have to be open about it. They don't have to be open about why. Well, they're just falling prey to the masses and everything else. And it's all, I mean, last week it was there's no cancel culture. It's evil. Cancel culture is the problem. This week it's cancel culture. I mean, but that's okay because the other side does it too, because it only masks that you're right. I mean, there are people who were anti-Chick-fil-A 2 weeks ago that were protesting it that are now buying more chicken sandwiches than they've ever had because we all switch sides. This stuff is like a volleyball game, right? It's like, oh man, I'm on my side of the net, you're on your side of the net. But every couple of games we switch sides. That's all it is, and it masks itself as though we're doing something right for God, but we're not, because our faith is too small, because we only see the God moving in our side, and we're shifting to try to be on the right side, but masking itself as right side lacks the faith to see that God is at work in the whole. It lacks the altitude. When we're on wrong and right sides, we lack the altitude to see with internal sight. What should we see in your notes? We should be focused on the divine leaven working through the whole instead of just our part. Well, the leaven's on this side. The leaven's with the Christians. The leaven's with the Catholics. The leaven's with the Protestants. The leaven's with the Jews. The leaven's with the Muslims. The leaven's with the Shia. The leaven's with the Sunni. The leaven's with my temple. The leaven's with my mosque. The leaven's with my synagogue. No, the leaven is working through the whole. Consider the history of movements. We rightly revere, in your notes, individuals and groups who push rightly for not yet justice in the right now world. I'm not saying that all positions are right. I'm saying it's a deception to think in the joining of right sides. I'm not saying all positions are right. I'm saying the green flows towards the right. You need to be a green person, right? You need to be a source, stream, motion, momentum, not a system, structure, shape, movement, and mover. That you need to see, wow, I'm looking at all these shapes and structures and systems and movements and movers, and I see green through all of them. Think of that. That's our understanding. We rightly revere individuals and groups who push rightly for the not yet justice, the justice of the not yet world. They push for it in the right now world, but we do so often with a self-supposed clarity about a right us versus a wrong them. That we're on the right side. But yet in hindsight, in your notes, when we look closely over each and every righteous mover, over each and every righteous movement, and I have righteous in quote, we say, well, this was right. This was the group that was on the side, right? When we look closely, we can easily identify their blindness, their error, their bigotry, or their misalignment in some form. And I'm saying even necessary, good, prophetic movements and movers who were arguing for not yet justice, pushing and advocating and embodying the justice of the not yet world and hastening it and bringing it to bear on the right now world, even among those righteous movers and movements, when you look closely, you're going to see some ugliness. You'll see some abuse. You'll see some exclusion. You'll see some bigotry. You'll see some misalignment. I mean, you can have massive racial progress toward a more fully realized dignity and equality for all Americans. You can have that, and within that movement and those movers have extreme prejudice against LGBTQ. Have extreme prejudice against and chauvinism against women. Have even abuse of women and children sustained and supported and covered up and co-opted within the movement, within the movers, within that, and yet they are advancing a righteous thing in the earth while at once the movers and movements themselves are tainted. And that's okay. Because it's okay to be on the side of the green source stream that was coming forth, because we don't have to embrace and defend and canonize all movements and movers as perfect, because anything above the line, Mikey, if you will, nobody's going to be able to see, anything above the line is going to have problems. Why? Because anything above the line has to pass through a human vessel. It has to pass through us before it takes its shape. And so what we should be drawn to is the green below the line, knowing that the green is up in every movement and mover and system and structure, but we ought not be deceived that every system and structure and movement and mover is entirely green, because none of us are entirely aligned with the stream. Okay, here we go. Thanks, Mike. And in some instances, we become aware that the people and movements and movers, the adherents and the doctrines that brought forth something righteous in the earth, they brought forth the righteous movement in the then, those very same people can often arrive later to the party of the now and next than the very people that they resisted and reproved and formed. This is so huge. When you think about, I'm going to read that again because some of you didn't get it in your notes. Here it is. So in some instances, we become aware that the very people and adherents and doctrines that brought forth a righteous movement in the then, right? That those very people often or can arrive later to the party of the now and the next than the very people they'd resisted and reproved in the former. I mean, you can have a white congregation that stands against racial injustice. In the go back in the 16th century, late 1700s. I mean, they were writing Thomas Jefferson. the church folks writing Thomas Jefferson saying, "You the devil," right? They were calling him out. So, I mean, you ain't saved like you say you is, man. You can't. Nobody can be a Christian and a slave owner. I mean, you in the slavery, you can't be that. I mean, there were then, but you can be on the right side of that. And say you can clearly see the black-white issue, and then if somebody says, a presidential candidate says they're gay or whatever, you say, hey, that guy should be killed. And so, wait, how could you have such clear sight on one hand and be blind? That's not a product of movers and movements. That's a human issue. In your notes, how can it be that movers and movements? I mean, so think about the Protestants, right? The Protestants, the protesters, right? Duns Scots and all these, and Calvin. I mean, just Wesley and Wesley. I can't think of it anyway. All these movers, right, and movements, bringing forth, revealing the error of the Catholic Church. But yet, on many things, the Catholic Church progressed, and they had, the Protestant movers who could see the injustice within the Catholic Church and the Christ-amisness within the Catholic Church. They rebuked and protested and separated from, oftentimes violently against the Catholic Church, and moved on. But yet the blind Catholic Church that they were protesting against, as time went on, in the then, the Protestants were right. But in the now and the next, we find that many Protestant congregations are the last to catch up to the largeness of the view of the Catholic Church. So I'm trying to say, let's not be bound to defending and memorializing and condemning movers and movements. Let's become more sensitive to true religion, which is that which is at work in all. How can it be that movers and movements have such clear sight in one area and such blindness in other areas? I mean, that's a big thing. How can it be that such movers and movements, you can be so clear? I mean, Gandhi can be so clear and so blind, right? And peace be unto him. I have no problem with Gandhi. That's not my point. How can a person that just has such incredible clarity be so blind in another area? That's a function of human progress itself. That's the nature of human progress. The United States did bring forth something good. There was a lot going on in Europe. They brought forth ideas, and they said, look, let's actualize these ideas. And in the middle of bringing forth an idea that many of us hold to be divinely inspired. I mean, my point is, how can you be divinely inspired to write words that are self-evident about the imago Dei inside every human being, and yet the person that handed you the pen you don't even see as a human being? That is not a product of especially vicious people. That is a product of people, right? That's a product of us. Yeah, well, not me. I would have seen it. I know. I get it. I would, and I'm saying I know I would have seen it. I don't know if I'd say that. I would like to think I would have seen it. Kenneth Copeland used to sing a song a long time ago. And the song lyrics were, he said, if I had seen the sunset the day Jesus died and felt the glow of the sunrise when the tomb was open wide, he said, would I have known you? Would I have seen? He's saying to God, if I had seen the sunset the day Jesus died and felt the glow of the sunrise when the tomb was open wide, would I have known you? Would I have seen? Would I have seen that you were more than just a man? And we say, I would have definitely been, most likely, knowing you the way I know you, knowing me the way I know you, we'd have been like, crucify him. I mean, we'd like to say, no, I'd have been one of the 11. No, I'd have been there, the 120. We'd like to say that about ourselves, but don't you understand that the arrogance of that statement that pride and self is yours, what you should be doing is saying, look, I know I'm susceptible to, and I really feel like it's the people who are certain. It's the people, listen, we've talked about it before, the people with unlimited certainties. I know. They are often the people with the most limited sympathies that they can't see and feel. And that's the point. Why? Because the certainties are above the line. Mikey, if you would, the certainties are above the line. I'm going to sell this as an NFT later. The certainties, let me find a color that's totally stark, right? The certainties are above the line. Everybody's like, oh, let me do this here. I don't know if I can. I see everything. This is where all the certainties are. The certainties are, it's mine, it's this. You baptize in the name of Jesus, not in the Father's, Holy Spirit. I got it. We're supposed to imitate the prophet, not the scriptures. No, we're supposed to follow the scriptures, not the prophet. I mean, everybody's got their certainties. Let me tell you, that's where the certainties are. Let me tell you that's where the unlimited certainties, let me tell you where the unlimited sympathies are. They're down in the connection to the stream, which is what? Arrogance is up here. Love is down here. Thank you, Mike. He's like, Dad, I'm just going to leave it up. You keep calling for it every 8 seconds. This is why we can't find any spiritual teacher or movement or doctrine that is flawless. And we should stop looking. I mean, I have a few people that come to mind. I personally, and I don't mean to upset anybody over this, I personally like Malcolm X. Somebody say, why would you like Malcolm X? Well, first of all, I don't know the man. I only know what I've read, what I've seen, what I've heard. He seems to me, from what I know, what do you know? You don't know jack crap. He seems to be a righteous man. He seemed to be a truly aligned man. But even when you talk about the minister, you have to ask yourself when. And I would say, even in his blindness, who he was true to light. Well, we'll never know. No, we will never know. So what's the point of judging? You're right. But I don't have to adjudicate him as especially right or especially wrong to look and to see, was there a push? Was the not yet world pushing for a more realized dignity and equality for Black Americans, of which he had purposed to be a conduit of bringing that world? I can totally see that. Yeah, but listen, with any movement, any mover, you can give me a yeah, but I'm saying in your notes, in each teacher or teaching, we may be able to say, yeah, right here, brother minister was good, or right there, sister so-and-so was good, or right there, this political leader was good, or up to this point, well, after that point, or up until he did this, or up until she did this. We're always going to find a reason why they're not totally aligned. But here's the key. In your notes, maybe because we know we're never going to find any structure or any movement or anything totally aligned. I mean, you think about it. I've already talked about it. Maybe we should just let us give us the resolve to no longer seek or expect perfect clarity from anyone. Man, there it is. I said it. Since we can't look back on any movement and mover or any system or structure of religion or politics and see it's completely aligned, maybe we should stop trying. As a matter of fact, maybe we should resolve to not even expect that. And also, we should accept this as a release that you and I no longer need to defend of or be shamed because of our appreciation for any inspired. I mean, like, well, how could you say, Malcolm X, aren't you ashamed? No, you can't shame me. Well, somebody say, I like Thomas Jefferson. Okay, fine. I'm assuming to know that you like Thomas Jefferson not because of the dark blindness and evil of which he was a conduit of, but I choose to believe that what you value in Thomas Jefferson is the insights that flowed through him, even though the insights that flowed through his mind, even though they didn't fully trickle down to his life. I choose to believe that. But you really can't defend Thomas Jefferson, no more than I can defend another person. But why should we have to defend? Why should we have to be ashamed? When we're focused on the green, when we're focused on the source, when we're focused on the stream, you and I don't have to set up humans or human systems or movements as idols. We don't have to do that. We just have to say, wow, I can see even amidst the chaos of this structure, this system, this mover, and this movement, I can see the stream and the source and the motion and the momentum within it. So we don't have to be ashamed or defend our appreciation for any inspired prophet or prophecy. Say, well, Martin Luther said that, yeah, but he was an anti-Semite. One of the things Gandhi said, yeah, well, he was an anti-Semite. He used to be a wife abuser. I mean, he even said that himself. Okay, yeah, but after that, I mean, this, and now we get into defense, well, up to this, but okay, but after that, but he later said, and now why can't we just have appreciation that in some prophet and prophecy, there was inspiration, some theologian or theology, philosopher philosophy, mission or missionary, innovator innovation, that no, none of them are entirely aligned, but we can appreciate that there was inspiration. Somebody give me a cigarette. We can appreciate that there was inspiration within them. And we know they're not entirely aligned. We know they're not entirely pure. We know they're not entirely consistent or unblemished because we actually don't, we can be at peace with that because we don't have to look to them. Why? Because if I look to them, here it is. Somebody say, well, how can you appreciate somebody even though they're not entirely pure, entirely aligned, entirely consistent? Why? Because somebody say, how can you revere somebody and see the good in somebody when they had this blind spot? I'll tell you why. Because I don't have to look to them to see that all of them will certainly have flaws. All I have to do is look in the mirror. I don't have to look to any movement or prophecy structure. I don't have NEM, the Omega view. I mean, that's why I'm resisting so hard to put anything tangible down on the Omega view, to add structure to it. Why? Because I myself am not convinced. Somebody said, well, I listened to NEM number 0001. Do you still believe that today? Let me tell you, all I can tell you that I believe today is today. Well, back in there, it was there. Yeah, it was there. It wasn't as clear. And today, number 145, it's here. It's not as clear. It's clear as I can make it today. But I suspect if we continue this past 150, 156, 200, if we continue, that I'm going to look back on 145 and go, yeah, but today. So what am I saying? How can you do that? How can you just let yesterday fall off and only be today? Because I'm trying to tell you, when you're in the stream, you're in the present, you're constantly trying to pursue and lay hold of the clarity of God instead of defending or shaming what came before. You're more tied into the motion and the momentum, the stream and the source than you are the structure, system, shape, and movements and movers. I hope you are hearing me. I don't have to say, man, let me look and see if I can find flaws in this person or that person. Let me look if I can see and find a perfect person in this person. That's it. I don't have to look at them. I can look at me and know that no one, you know what, I look at me and I know that it's possible for two people to exist in the same person. That it's possible for a good person who purposes to be the biggest beagle that ever goes to any grocery store ever, who purposes to love his wife, to love his children, to love them. I purpose to believe that I know that that person can also be a blind person. Here we go. Let's close. This explains why God, in your notes, is at once lost and found among all inspired religions. What do you think about that? We have, Mikey, if you could, we have the line. Up above the line, we have the shape and structured of all inspired religion. Below the line, we have the stream source, motion and movement of all true religion. And in every structure, guess what? God, right? God is at once lost and found within every formalized structure. But our aim is to live in our incarnational experience with stream-seeking sight. What do I mean? That no matter what structure you and I come from, no matter what tradition, a mosque, a synagogue, a temple, an auditorium, right? A center, a faith center, whatever, that no matter where we come from, we purpose to come from there and to live there with sight that is aligned. That's us looking. That no matter what structure we're in, we are there. Our aim is to live with stream-seeking sight. Thanks, Mike. whereby we see and celebrate, it should be celebrate in your notes. Our aim is to live with stream-seeking sight, whereby we see, in your notes, and celebrate, not celebrates. We see and celebrate and embody what is of the source, what is of the stream, what is of the motion, what is of the momentum. What is that? Of God and love, both within a structure, without a structure. If you have a structure that you're in, I hope you're in that structure with stream-seeking sight, that you purpose to embody God and love, the stream, the source, the motion, the momentum within that structure. If you're out of a structure, I hope you live out of a structure with stream-seeking sight, that in your incarnational experience, you are aiming to embody God and love and the stream and the source outside of the religious structures. Because this seeking to embody this thing, whether you're in a tradition and you say, yeah, it's Christ and it's baptism and it's Lent and it's Good Friday and it's resurrection and it's Pentecost and that is my structure, or whether you're in a Jewish and Orthodox or whatever, or whether you're in a, whatever, it doesn't matter. Whatever structure you're in, I hope you're in that with stream-seeking sight, and that you can see within your system, within your structure, you're aligned to the sight, which is why in all faiths, right? We see and celebrate and embody what is of the source, the stream, the momentum, the love, the God within a structure. If you have a structure, outside of a structure, if you came from a structure. Somebody say, what is NEM? NEM is something that exists outside of a structure, but its mission is to bring stream-aligned sight, so that whether you stay in your structure or whether you're independent structure, or you think about going to another structure, well, I went to this type of church, a Baptist church forever, but now that I'm in NEM, I'm at an Orthodox church. I don't care what structure you're in. There is blindness within that structure. There's flaws within the movements and movers of that structure. But when you're there, I hope you're there with stream-aligned sight. But you say, now that I've been listening to him, I think I've withdrawn from the structure. It's okay if you've withdrawn from the structure, just don't withdraw from the stream-aligned sight. Because living as this embodiment, the last line, is true religion. And listen to me. This is true religion. If you live this way, where you're going to embody God and love, the stream, the source, when you're going to embody that, even with or without the structure, that is true religion. And people of all formal faiths, or hear me, people of no formal faith. That was Australian. This is true religion, and people of all formal faiths and no formal faith can be in full possession of true religion. If you have a formal faith, it's not the structure that gives you true religion, it's the stream-aligned sight. If you have no formal faith, it's not the absence of a structure that affects your ability to have true religion, it's the absence of stream-aligned sight. But if you have stream-aligned sight, whether you're in a formal faith or not in a formal faith, you can be in full possession of embodiment of God and love. You can be in full possession, full actualization of God and love. You can be in the full embodiment of it if you're living in your incarnational experience with a mind to embody love, which is seeing and feeling those who suffer in the suffering as you walk out focused on the stream and the source instead of the structure and the system. You can be that embodiment of God and have true religion regardless of your connection or distance or proximity to a formal faith structure. So you don't have to leave formal faith structures. Why? Because the stream is there. You don't have to stay in a formal faith structure. Why? Because the stream is also outside of it. I'm suggesting to you at NEM on 145 that it's the stream that makes us aligned with God, not the defense or history or beauty or tragedy of, listen, so are you going to be ashamed of the Catholic Church? You're going to be ashamed of the Baptist Church? You're going to be ashamed of America? Listen, there's so much shame you could walk away, but if you say, you can be nowhere if you're going to live by that, but if you can say, I'm within all sorts of chaotic corruption of movements and movers throughout time, but I am focused on the leaven that has been leavening, on the stream that has been in all, and I'm staying focused on the stream, and I see the stream through the structure, I see it independent of the structure, I see it beneath the structure. When I'm in the structure, I see the stream. When I'm out of the structure, I see the stream, because true religion is to embody God and love from the stream and the source, rather than making the stream, the source, the system and the structure, the sum total of God and truth. So that was a lot. I hope you got that. Okay, so anyway, thank you so much for your support. If we are helping you, if my family sitting down here every Sunday is helping you, help us. Support us. I'm asking you, I'm not even saying pray about it. I mean, if you're saying, man, this really helps me, then I'm asking you, say, hey, okay, I got you. I see your family. If we all join in together, if all the hundreds of people that watch NEM throughout a week say, yeah, we need to participate in this, it would make a difference. And it would make a difference. I can't tell you how much of a difference. michaelandconnie.com/support. You can find out, hey, I want to support these people. I want to support this ministry. It's helping me. I believe this should come into the earth. Then just thank you. Or you can reach us. You can go right to the apps, Mike Con LLC, Mike Con LLC. That's Mike, M-I-K-E for me, Con, C-O-N. They didn't have enough letters to do the full name, but it's us, right? It's Mike Con LLC on Cash App, on Venmo, and we've set up a little company. Well, you should set up a ministry, man. I'd give you a whole bunch of money if I give you a tax write-off. Take the income, pay the taxes. If you're that, say, yeah, I'll just pay the tax on it. I got $20,000 set aside from last quarter. I'm gonna take the 20 as income, pay the 10 in taxes. I'm gonna send you the $10,000. Thank you. It materially at the end of the day, you're just as well off as you were. We're better off. So it doesn't matter. I'm not going to compromise my conviction that we should do this not for a write-off. We should do this because it is in our heart to do so. It is in our heart to do so. So thank you for your support for that. Or you can write us, Mike Con LLC, 2870 Peachtree Road Northwest, number 230. Michael and Connie LLC, 2870 Peachtree Road Northwest, number 230, Atlanta, Georgia, 30305. And we thank you and we thank God for you. Father, peace, protection, health, preservation, soundness, abundance, aboveness. Thank you for loading us with benefits every day. Lord, thank you that you see us. We don't need a sacrifice for the forgiving of our sins. Love forgives our sins. Thank you for healing all our diseases. We walk free from the chaos of this world, from sin, spiritual death, and physical death, and all of its gripping power, from poverty, lack, and shortage, griefs, and sorrows, and sickness, disease, and infirmity, and all of its gripping power. I thank you that we walk free, that the healing and health of the not yet overtakes us in the right now. Thank you for redeeming our lives from destruction this day, and every day we're free from tragedy, Lord, each one of us and our families. Thank you for surrounding us with a love and a kindness and a mercy that pursues and overtakes us every single day. Thank you for satisfying our mouths with good so our youth is renewed like the eagles. Peace in, on, and around each one. I bless them. I bless you for them. God, I bless you for all who are hearing, even those who make negative comments, go behind on other videos and make negative comments. Lord, just those who are doggone it on the rightness of a structure and blind to the truth of the stream. Bless them mightily today. Bless them mightily today. In Jesus' name, amen. Listen, Connie and I love you. The kids love you. The dog loves you. Pop loves you. We greet you. We send you our best. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your support. Have a great and glorious week. And remember, God willing, we're going to be here for number 146. And nothing else matters but God.